Alright, let's break down the hook serve. You should know it has evolved significantly over the years. Back in my professional days, I primarily used the left side spin serve, especially the high toss, which won me many crucial matches. When I first tried to teach amateurs the high toss serve, they found it too difficult to learn. As a pro, I'd only use the hook serve 2 or 3 times per match at most. It was very rare. This is because the hook serve was a newer serving technique that came later. Later, many fans wanted to learn the hook serve, but at the time, the understanding was limited to simply hooking the racket and brushing forward, without much depth. For the sake of coaching and to enrich my own technical knowledge, I went through several generations of improvements to the hook serve. Let me explain briefly. My initial understanding was to hook the racket and make contact on the right side of the ball. I soon realized this method was only suitable for short serves. The long serves were far too slow. That's when I moved to version 2.0, the filing hook serve. At first, the focus was on generating spin by brushing the side of the ball, really emphasizing that grazing contact. This is because most players were still hitting forward or downward, failing to create true friction on the ball. In the 3.0 era, we learned the long filing hook serve, which is that fast, undisguised kick serve I often use. This serve was effective initially, but once opponents got used to it, they could simply block it and engage in a rally. So, I spent several months researching how to make the backspin version of this filing hook serve much spinnier. I found 2 solutions. The first was to serve slower. Trying to generate heavy spin at high speed proved nearly impossible for me, so slowing the serve down was the only way to achieve it. The second issue is that the filing hook serve uses the most extreme wrist angle, essentially shoveling the ball for side backspin, which is less effective for spin generation than the racket face rotation method used in left side spin serves. This results in a serve with some spin, but not enough to force an error. Therefore, the main drawback of the filing hook serve is its weak backspin. You can serve it fast, but the spin will be relatively low. Later, I was introduced to the chopping hook serve, which marks the 4.0 era. With the chopping hook serve, I discovered its weakness is generating effective side topspin. You can chop a heavy side backspin, but your side topspin is weak enough for the opponent to push back. In contrast, the filing hook serve side topspin will pop up if pushed. It just can't produce a strong side topspin. So, my current understanding is that you must combine the filing and chopping hook serves. The filing serve is a backward to forward brushing motion to the side. The chopping serve uses a more vertical racket angle to create friction. By combining these two, you can effectively serve both side topspin and side backspin. I'm confident in this because today alone, I've observed and coached nearly 380 players on their hook serve, so I know what works and what doesn't. First, let's talk about what successful players do right. They all share a common characteristic. The most successful students, many of whom have prior training, have a solid foundation. Their number one trait is keeping their shoulder and elbow down and relaxed. Players who do this almost always have a good serve. If your serve is inconsistent, your biggest enemy is a tense shoulder and elbow. If you don't keep them down, your serve will be slow and high. You must drop your shoulder to make the ball float and curve. Unlike a left side spin serve where you can raise your elbow, a right side spin serve requires a low shoulder and elbow. That's rule number 1. The second issue affecting quality is an unstable elbow. Many players' elbows move up and down like a seesaw, making their serves easy to read and attack. You must understand the proper elbow position for a hook serve. To generate heavy backspin, your elbow point must always face down. Your backswing should be stable, not an up and down motion. That is incorrect. An elbow that moves up and down will create a mixed spin ball with both backspin and topspin properties, which prevents you from serving a pure topspin. The correct form is to keep your elbow pointing towards the table or floor. This position should remain constant for both backspin and topspin serves. Yes, the elbow point stays down. Even for a filing hook serve, only the racket head adjusts slightly. The elbow must not lift. Next, a common reason for short, weak serves is making contact too far outside the table. For a hook serve, you must direct your force into the table. The correct trajectory involves contacting the ball near the table's edge but having your follow-through extend over the table. This is how you generate quality. Your arm must accelerate into the table, not just forward, but towards the side front corner. If you only use force outside the table, your serve quality will suffer. For all right side spin serves, including reverse pendulum and backhand, you must direct your force into the table. Otherwise, speed and quality will drop significantly. So when serving with right side spin, always accelerate towards the front side corner of the table. This will make your serve longer and more penetrating. Many players fail because their motion stops too early outside the table, robbing the ball of forward momentum and resulting in a short, low spin serve. Listen carefully, because these insights come from analyzing the mistakes of over 300 amateur players. The fourth key point is that many amateurs have a flipping motion in their wrist upon contact. You must avoid flipping the racket. This action kills both spin and speed. While your racket angle can change slightly for side backspin versus side topspin, the change must be minimal. A large flip will result in a no-spin ball. Flipping your wrist essentially scoops the ball upward, which cancels out any backspin you tried to impart, leaving the serve with no spin at all. So, never flip your wrist. If your racket angle changes dramatically from backswing to contact, your serve will go high. You must maintain a stable racket face throughout the motion. The follow-through after a filing or chopping serve is a smooth, deceptive motion, not a jerky wrist flip after contact. The fifth problem, and one of the biggest for amateurs, is failing to synchronize the body and the arm. Here's a common misconception: you don't rotate your waist for serves like you do for a forehand drive. Both left and right side spin serves rely on the rising and falling of your center of gravity, not waist rotation. Rotating your body will actually hurt the speed of your serve. Good servers always have a solid ready position. I advise you to never rush your serve, always set your center of gravity first. As you toss the ball, your center of gravity should rise. You must use this body weight transfer to generate power. Also, always stomp your foot on contact. Many players either lean back as they serve or stay bent over the whole time. This might work in practice, but under pressure in a match, it will lead to errors. To ensure consistency, brace your left leg against the table, lower your center of gravity, rise with the toss, and then drop your weight and stomp your foot as you make contact. You must build this habit. The serve is the one shot you have complete control over. If you can't master this, how will you handle the unpredictable shots in a rally? Let me show you. The difference in spin between serving flat-footed and serving with a stomp can be as much as 50%. At first, stomping might seem pointless, but without it and without using your body weight, you're wasting all your power and relying only on your arm and fingers, which isn't enough. To serve with speed and pace, you must use your center of gravity. I've seen students with low-quality serves instantly improve their speed and quality just by having me press down on their back to engage their body. Without changing their arm mechanics at all, just adding body weight can multiply the serve speed. Incorporate your body from the beginning of your training. If you try to add it later, it's much harder because you'll have to relearn your coordination, and most players lose patience. Now, let's discuss why your serve isn't spinny. This is also based on my analysis of over 300 players. The first reason is insufficient racket speed. For example, my swing might take 0.3 seconds, while yours takes 0.8 seconds. Let's have our partner return serves at both speeds, and you'll see the difference is huge. It's the same principle as a loop. A slow loop won't lift the ball, but a faster motion will. It all comes down to the concentration and frequency of your motion. So, to generate spin or handle incoming spin, your racket speed must be high. Your first goal is to increase the velocity of your swing. This speed comes mainly from your forearm, with some contribution from your fingers. Using only your fingers won't create spin. You need to combine your forearm and body in a single, explosive motion. The second reason is a poor contact point on the racket. For instance, if I use the middle part of my racket and chop down hard, is it topspin or backspin? I'm chopping downward, but if our partner pushes it, the ball goes up. This is exactly why you can't generate backspin. You're making contact on the upper part of the racket. Even though your motion is downward, the physics of the impact create topspin. You must make contact on the lower part of the racket. It's the same for left side spin. This allows a downward motion to create true backspin friction. If your contact point is too high, the more you swing down, the more the ball will kick upwards. I can even demonstrate a downward motion that produces side topspin. So, your inability to serve backspin is often a contact point issue. With a high contact point, the faster your downward swing, the stronger the resulting side topspin becomes, which can actually be quite deceptive. So remember, even with a flat racket angle, if you brush the ball with the upper part of the racket, it will be a topspin serve. You must find the correct contact point. The same is true for left side spin. If the contact point is high, chopping down will produce no spin because you're not using the effective lower part of the racket face. The third reason is a poor braking action. The moment of maximum force should be at the instant your motion stops. Think of it this way: be relaxed during the backswing, accelerate through contact, and then apply your greatest force in the braking action that abruptly stops the racket. You must focus your maximum force on that braking moment. After brushing the ball, you cannot relax your grip. Don't think the work is done once you've accelerated. The braking action after acceleration is the most critical part of generating spin. This applies to side topspin as well. If you relax your wrist at the end, the serve will have no spin. Many players have a good backswing and acceleration, but their braking action is weak and relaxed. In my opinion, you should tense your entire body at the end of the follow-through, not during the acceleration phase. If you tense up at contact, you will just hit the ball flat. The feeling you want is to accelerate and then suddenly stop. Once you master that feeling, your spin will increase exponentially. I recommend all players take these 5 points into consideration.